is running past him.
Yeah, yes, I will.
All right, Tom. You're now in 6th.
6th? What did you post?
No. I didn't. It hasn't posted yet. Your story comparing it to a Sounded Heart story would be.
That's pretty good.
You're on 6th.
I think.
I'm on. Hello. Whoa, hello. I'm loud.
I know.
Hello. We're
like
live. We
Glenn's-
just didn't know we're live.
Oh, I've said this in public before too.
Hello, boys and girls.
Glenn
Whoa.
did that.
Oh, yeah,
one of the
volume.
fan posts about.
Turn down my
his
volume.
Position about soccer for all.
You guys
I
got a
believe.
tan,
The boycott.
boys.
San Jose boycott.
We got tan.
Yeah. You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
got
That was a while ago.
You guys
Oh, yeah.
look retarded.
For that year.
We'll
it
fix
was
the
one of
we'll
top
fix the
10
lighting. Our
most
battery
read
was
items.
low on battery juice because someone didn't.
Oh no, I charged him all day.
Did you really?
No, he didn't.
So what?
He
Are they
worked all
dying?
day.
I mean, we've got to buy a couple new batteries.
What up, boys?
Anyways,
is
or
better.
get new lights. Yeah.
Can you guys hear us in the chat room?
I should.
We hear.
Can you hear us?
we
Hear
see
us?
that
Hear us?
poor
Hear us?
lighting.
Hear us? Hear us?
Let's say crappy things about Derek.
Echo.
Who?
He can't get to me right now.
Hello, boys and girls.
Yet.
How's everyone doing?
He's eating.
Hey, is that
God.
is that Constellation and Company, the trophy winner, all the way from New York City, watching us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, Emily.
What
and
up,
John.
Doug?
What's up, Doug?
What's going on?
So
Hi, Doug.
we are just waiting for our
Karaoke
special
ringers
guest to
just
arrive.
arrived.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be here shortly.
And we do have tons of special guests already in the house.
We do.
The Pels in the house. What?
What?
Yeah.
I know. That was not. That was a good surprise.
Yeah. Love it, man.
I like it.
The Duchess of Merch.
The Duchess,
the Duchess
of Merch.
of Merch.
The one who makes all the merch happy.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes.
She doesn't
Speaking
have
of
she doesn't
merch,
have a Twitter
check
account
out
yet.
this shirt. I don't know if you can see that, but
I'm voting for tacos.
boom.
Just stand up, dude.
Dude, that's a hard shell though.
No, first of all,
Whoa.
but you know, it's hard to do a soft shell taco image.
You can
There you
actually
go.
see it better when you were
Check
sitting
that
down.
out.
Soft shells are not necessarily photogenic from the side.
How come that isn't hashtag hard work dedication? The hell?
Yeah, producer.
Why is the lighting so crappy?
Only on the one. We're
Yeah,
gonna turn the
producer.
lights on.
Hey,
Thomas.
And why are we so far down the table? I thought we would
Why are
usually
we
go in the
still
middle.
watching this awful
What-
game?
What is going on? Oh my god.
Oh, we are watching this. Oh my God.
Nobody's watching it.
We're not really watching it, but it's on in the
CNC
background.
Trophy Factory?
Con and Co won best new
products.
product in the.
Stationery show, the National Stationery Show.
What?
It was in the best new product, something like Epic Style, Enviro.
Nice.
You know, in a subcategory. Oh, Enviro Chic.
Nice.
Best new product,
Ooh.
Enviro Chic.
That's
Enviro
an actual
Chic.
category?
Not Enviro
Yeah,
Sheep,
May I have
which
a
is what I
mic?
thought you said at first.
Sheet.
You're-
Sheet,
in
man.
case. Either both? Either?
boom.
No. Have I seen what?
It was.
Man, this is really light. Wow.
It was their set
Oh, yes.
of.
Like I did it with two
that was
fingers.
hilarious.
They,
Yes.
they do a set of signal flags, the A through Z signal flags that you use to put up messages along the lines on a yacht.
Yeah.
They do those on like a. It's not cardboard. It's a higher quality than that, but it's like a repurposed stiff board with the letters and whatnot. And that won the award.
Wow.
That's from Constellation Company. Our
Mad
good-
props
our
to
good
our
friends.
friends, Constellation and Company.
So that was pretty cool.
Congratulations. Saw some of those photos. That looked like a fun trip, for sure.
I love trade shows.
Yeah. I haven't been to one myself. I don't know if you consider a Comic-Con a trade show. I guess. Maybe?
Yes, we are
I mean,
dark.
kinda.
Yeah,
kind
right?
of.
To see. They're here.
They're here.
Yeah,
Hold on,
they're
I'll be
here.
right back, guys.
Should I get out of the way? gonna
Let's
move.
do this.
So we're gonna our guests are
We're
here.
getting
so
ready,
they're gonna
folks.
be-
Pre-show's about to end. Our guests are in the house.
Bye.
He's not gone forever.
We'll get Tom
He's coming
back on
right back.
after.
We'll be right back.
After these messages.
be right back.
There's all sorts of disarray happening. What's happening right now? Disembodied voices are talking on the Sonarfeed pre-show. What do you think Derek is doing over there? We can sort of see Derek. If up there's Dave's shirt. Dave, show the shirt. Jet in here. That voice, that's Tom. I'm just talking some smack off camera. You guys seem bored.
Right here. Yes. Yes. Yeah. What up, folks?
Do I get the mic?
Yeah, yeah. And it's pretty directional, so boom.
It's already on?
It's up, we're on.
Should be on.
And then up close, otherwise they won't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's our chat room. Folks are watching these. So our friends, you and I, and then
Hello, boys and girls.
people will throw some questions at us,
Okay,
and we'll
nice,
follow
man.
the chat. Yeah, man, it's cool. It's just us hanging out at the pub,
Nice. It's nice.
chopping it up with friends, recapping the weekend that was with the great match that you had yesterday.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that right away, folks.
I lost, though. I'm not happy.
Hey, man, hey, the
happy.
competitive in him,
Yeah, man.
even though it's for
Don't
charity.
be too shocked. But Hugo is the stadium voice for S2.
Okay.
So during the Open,
Okay.
Oh,
it's
you'll
going to
hear
be
it.
a little bit intense.
Yes.
Okay,
Right next
It's
to
gonna be
your
fun, man. I like to have fun with it.
Nice.
Okay, there you go. Sorry.
As we wait for the lighting.
Yeah.
Get me
Okay.
on my Snapchat,
We're good?
girl.
Yeah,
Get me on my Snapchat.
do it, do it.
All right. You want to scoot over here a little closer
3, 5, 6,
to me?
go.
Oh, you got it?
You might want to.
Okay, stay there.
Stay there. Okay.
Okay. Okay, good?
Yeah.
All right. So,
So when I'm talking, I'm going to just be looking at you the whole time?
No, look at
Right
the
here,
camera. I
okay.
mean,
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
also
Yeah.
me and
Okay.
us. It's
Look at
really
all of
hanging
us.
out, hanging
Yeah.
out, having a conversation with us
Yeah.
four.
it's real low key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a time limit kind of thing?
Nah, man.
I mean, don't worry. We're not going to go crazy, but.
Nah,
Okay.
I'm chilling.
Okay, good. Good.
Chilling.
Awesome. Okay, so we want to do the intro and then we'll go?
Nah, I'm okay, man. You good?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a water.
Welcome to Sonarfeed.
Woo!
Episode 172. Hard work dedication. Hashtag hard work dedication. Let's go.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
everybody. Welcome into episode 172 of Sonarfeed. We are joined tonight by the one and only Eddie Johnson.
Yes.
Live
EJ in the house.
and direct here from the Berliner Pub in Renton. Thank you so much, Eddie, for coming down and joining us this evening.
Nah, thanks for having me, man. After that introduction just now, man, I'm ready to get going, man. I'm ready to get going. I don't need any hype music. I'm ready to go.
I love it. I love it. So my name is Aaron Riley, a.k.a. Sonar Riley. Across from me,
Hugo Garcia, a.k.a. at MeVitaSeattle on Twitter.
to my right, your left,
Dave Clark at Better Than.
and, of course, we have...
Eddie Johnson at _7.
There we go.
What up, sweetie?
And we have another one right behind you as well there. Another little guest there.
My little mini me.
Little mini you. I
Mini
love
me
it.
in the house.
I love it. That's great. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you. We're going to find out about you, to talk a little bit about your career, where you came from. Most people obviously know who you are, but we always like to offer up. We've had a lot of people on. Steve was on last week.
Yeah.
I was in Texas on business in my hotel room, like crying because I wasn't here.
Right.
It was a show,
I was
too. It
watching
was such a
Steve. It
show.
was so
Right.
great. But we've had like Ross Fletcher and a whole bunch of people on, and we always ask them to kind of go back and just tell about who you are, like where you came from in soccer. And I know
Right.
most people can go read it, but hearing your stories are much more, fun to listen to. So
Right.
So tell us who you are and where you came from and all that kind of good stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously, Eddie Johnson. Born and raised in Bunnell, Florida. One of three. Grew up in government housing by a single mom. My mom's LaWanna Johnson, and I have an older sibling, Shantae Johnson. I'm in the middle, and my brother, Cecil Hubbard. And just like every young kid growing up in the inner city, you got goals. One of the goals is making it out. If you make it out, that's an accomplishment. But I use sports as my path to kind of something to drive me, to motivate me to want to be something in life and be able to give back to my single mom that has sacrificed so much and worked so hard to provide for me and my siblings. And I find my unhidden passion, which was soccer, because I was involved in a lot of sports. Baseball, a lot of people don't know, is the first sport I ever even played. Played T-ball, played pitching machine, and after that I kind of stopped because I kind of only really got involved because my childhood friends were playing, but I didn't really know the rules when I was young. So first base, you're supposed to run through it. I actually slid because I was so competitive and I didn't want to get out, and I didn't hit the ball that far, and the pitcher got it. So I was like, you know what? I'm beating that ball. I'm beating that ball to first base. If I got to slide, so I slid and I fractured my wrist. So I quit after that. And then I got to travel basketball, but it was these kids that I met in summer camp. These 3 white kids, and I'm still friends with them till this day, that I became really good friends with, and they played soccer. And, once again, here I am trying another sport because I'm playing just because my friends are playing. But it was something about this sport that really, drew me towards it. It was very hard to play. It was something that every kid in the inner city don't play.
Yeah.
And me, I've always been that type of person that amongst all my friends, I always wanted to be the best at whatever I did. And so it was very challenging in the beginning, but I worked hard, became good at it, and kind of never looked back.
Nice, man.
When you picked it up, obviously, like anybody, there's that God-given talent. There's a lot of hard work. When was that moment when somebody discovered you and said, you know what, you've got a legit future in the game? Do you remember kind of the person and moment when that happened?
Well, it was actually one of my friends. One of my friends that was my friend in summer camp. The 3 of them actually played soccer on his travel team, but the one kid in particular, Dustin Sawyer, and I know you guys seen on the documentary Bob Sawyer. He spoke the white guy who was kind of my father that I never had, mentor. Their family took me in and kind of funded everything for me financially because travel soccer was very
Super
expensive.
Still is.
So that's my father I never had, and I'm still very close to that family and stuff. And his son, who I became really good friends with, I think the dad put me on a team because I was his son's friend. I wasn't even that good at all when I first started playing. I was just very athletic and fast, and so he put me in the back. And when I played in the back, he kind of taught me how to play in the back. And it was this one tournament. Our striker went down, and we needed some speed up top. So he put me up top at 11 years old, and I ended up scoring, I think it was like 18 goals in the tournament.
Wow.
Did okay.
So at 11 years old, he kept me up top ever since. And you know how in sports you want to be loved. And, defenders, Really defenders,
Appreciate
holding midfielders, you really don't get that much love. People don't appreciate clean sheets. They appreciate people putting the ball in the back of the net. And so I said, you know what, I wanted to stay up there because at the end of the day, you want to be loved. And, just kept working hard. And it was in about when I was 12, 13 years old, we had a tournament in the Sun Bowl. It's called the Sun Bowl in Florida. And it's like one of the second biggest, largest youth tournaments in the country.
Wow.
And that's when I was playing, and a guy by the name of Bob Moulin, he's the Region 3 scout.
Okay.
He walked up to my coach after the game. He saw me playing one of the games, and he said, "Who's that is that striker's parents? Are they here?" And he was like, "Well, he's with me. He pretty much come with me and my son all the time." He's like, "Well, we'd like to get him in the ODP program." So back then it was the Olympic Development Program, and you go through a series of trials.
Wow.
From your state, then your district, then your region, and then you try out for the state team. And so once I went through the ODP thing, ever since I was like 13 years old, I kind of went through the ranks from the youth national team all the way up to the senior team.
At 13.
And so
That's
about 12,
crazy.
13 years
Wow.
old is when I knew, right before that residency, before I went down to IMG at 15. So like 2 years before that is when, I think I'm pretty good at this.
Bradenton's a little bit different than Bunnell.
Yeah, a lot.
I've driven through Bradenton, and
Yeah.
it's kind of this rural area, like
Really?
lots of open grass.
Country.
And,
A lot of open,
yeah.
but there's parts of Bunnell like that too, though.
Okay.
Bunnell's very country. I'm a country brother. My grandfather was one of my big influences growing up too as well. I used to follow him everywhere when I go. I used to have my cowboy hats on, my cowboy boots and stuff, and so it's a very country town, Bunnell.
Where is Bunnell? I know you're in the Orlando area quite a bit. Like
Yeah.
we follow you on
So
social
I'm east.
media.
So I'm east of, I'm like northeast of Orlando. So I'm more in between Daytona Beach and St. Augustine, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. So North Florida.
Okay.
North Florida.
Excellent. So then now we're talking, you're like 13, 15, and
It must have been tough. Sorry, I just wanted to
Go ahead,
check.
yeah, go ahead.
It must have been tough to play soccer when basketball. This is probably the mid '90s.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You're talking like Jordan, 95, 94. Basketball is like what the NFL is today. Back then, man, did you have a hard time like sticking up, having to stick up for soccer and like tell friends that everybody wanted you to play hoops, but you're like, man, soccer's where I'm at.
Man, you're absolutely right. So we have this back in Bunnell. We have it. It's like our version of the YMCA. It's called the Carver Gym, and so that's where we go after school when our parents are working and stuff. And they have like counselors there to pretty much like watch us and supervise us and stuff. And once I started getting into soccer, whenever there was a break after playing like 21.
Yeah.
I take the basketball and start juggling and stuff, and then my friends would always say, "Man, go play that white sport, go."
Man.
They used to tease me all the
Right,
time.
I bet, man.
But now, after they started to see that I was really good at it, and I
Yep.
started having a lot of success. Every little kid back in Bunnell in the inner city wants to play soccer.
huge,
Their parents want me to
huge.
train their kids. A lot of them are always ask me advice, because they've gotten to grow a love and admiration for the game and stuff, and it's good to see. You take something that's not so big, coming from an environment in the community that I am, and now the success that I've had has impacted a lot of young kids back in Bunnell to want to play soccer now, which is awesome.
It is awesome, man, because that not only helps that community, it really helps to spread and develop nationwide the
Right.
sport and the game, and with more people.
Right,
getting
and when I
access
say
to
white
it.
kids, my friends aren't racist or anything. Okay, it's just a joke.
you had earlier you mentioned you came out of Bunnell, but you go back.
Right.
Like it's not I'm out and I'm done. Like
Nah.
a lot of what you're doing now is giving back to Bunnell
Right.
and Florida for those youth soccer programs.
Right, and I think it's important. I can selfishly say, out of my career, I didn't do a good job of giving back. And everybody have their own life and what goes on in their life and how they like to, go about their life.
Right.
Me, I always saw it as, a lot of people in my family aren't successful, so they had to always work. They couldn't pick up and travel if I wanted to fly them to come watch me play. Whether it was when I first went to Dallas or when I went to Kansas City or when I went to Europe and stuff. So it's not like they can pick up and go and take off anytime they want. So I never really, throughout my career for 14 years, never really got to see my family in the stands watching me play and travel to come watch me play like the rest of the guys that can probably sit here and, their families were always at the national team games and stuff. Unfortunately, my family, we all had to work because, I'd be honest, I'm the only one to really make it out to really become something, and, my family was very, missed out on that.
Yeah, hardworking.
So I think it's very important, now that I'm not playing now, is that, I'm basically making up for lost time. I wish I could have did a better job of giving back. And so when I retired, it was like, man, what do I want to get involved into? All my life, all I known was soccer since like 10 years old. I don't really know anything else, and then one of my buddies, his name's Eric Arbazar. He does a lot of youth coaching back in Florida and stuff. He's like, you know what? I got a training today with my U14 team. You should come out and like talk to some of the guys. It'd be good. They love to see you and stuff.
Absolutely.
And so when I was out at the training session, he kind of caught me off guard and said, "Hey, can you go work with the strikers?" I said, "Work with the strikers, man? I ain't got no coaching experience, man." He's like, "Yeah, just go work with the strikers. Some of the finishing drills you used to do and stuff. Just go do it. It'll be good for the kids, And so I did some finishing work with a couple of the strikers, and then one of the kids scored a goal, I think, in the previous game over the weekend, and then he sent my buddy at the time. I happened to be eating dinner with him, and he sent me this long, man, you don't know the impact Eddie had on me. That goal that I scored, it was everything that he was teaching us in that training session. So I was like, boom, man, my connection with the
That's
youth.
it.
This is probably my calling, and when I retire, and I give a lot of credit to Dave Casper in DC.
Shout out to Dave Casper.
He told me, "Eddie, you make a good coach one day." I said, "Coach, a good coach." My mouth used to always get me in trouble. So but throughout my career, and a lot of the young guys can say, I used to do a lot of mentoring to the younger guys, being a veteran pro, because I knew what it was like to be a young guy, and the pros not really take us young guys aside and help us when I was coming through. And so I took pride in that. And this was my calling. I work with a lot of young kids in Orlando, and I really focus on the whole youth developmental side of it, and I love doing it.
Well, I think it's one of the things that's great is, like, I know Saturday you and Steve went out, right?
Yeah.
Over here, Starfire too, and you posted about that. Just before you came on the show.
For sure.
That's what it's all about. And you know what? Here's the way to look at it, and I know you know this and deep in your heart. What happens? What was done is done. You can't. That's not your focus anymore.
Right.
You realize,
which is hard to accept sometimes.
It is.
And it takes a while to transition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Luckily, I transitioned real quick.
That's great.
But
that's what matters, and that's what people. I mean, what happens. Who cares? It's all.
Right.
And I've got kids, and you have kids. You know how it is.
Yep.
Right.
You're trying to teach them and give them the best opportunity for success.
Right.
Things happen.
Right.
And now you're making a difference, and now you're doing the skills that you have.
Right.
That is awesome. That is so cool that you're doing that.
I
man.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for doing that.
I appreciate
That's-
that.
And it seems
Appreciate
like you have a knack to connecting with young kids, because you have been mentioned before by some of our guests that we've had in the past. We've asked folks
A lot of academy kids come.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
Dom.
academy
Okay,
kids.
nice.
Yeah, Dom and
I know all of
You
those
know, we
guys.
asked
Yeah,
them, hey
yeah.
man, what player have you interacted? Who's kind of helped you out a bit? And more than once, someone's mentioned your name.
Yeah.
That you were instrumental in helping them develop and get used to becoming a pro and getting used to the training and what to expect, man.
Yeah, I think it's important, man. I think it's a lot of those young kids come in, intimidated, and it's not easy being young, because as a veteran guy who has a family to take care of, this young guy might be the next up and coming big thing that's very talented, and you're kind of on your way out, and he's coming in to take your job, and as a veteran, you're looking at, I got it, provide for my kid.
Family.
So you don't really go out of your way to help these young kids, but I can honestly say in my career, I've always, even when Josie Altidore was coming through, when he was a young guy, long story, a quick story about him. When he was down at IMG and I was already playing pro and on the national team and scoring goals, we had the same sports psychologist, Trevor Moai, down at IMG, and he called me and I said, I got someone on the line they're calling him the next Eddie Johnson. And so Josie called me and was like, you know, just basically telling me how much he looked up to me and he admired my game and stuff. And then now look at him, he's doing well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you never know the impact you're gonna have on younger players. So for me, it's like I took this passion that the Lord blessed me with, and you know, sometimes or some games or some training sessions, I've probably been a little more over passionate than, you know, normal. But you know, one of the things that drove me is not wanting to go back to where I was from, you know. So it's like whenever I'm out there, I don't like to waste time. You know, I hated losing. I always wanted to win. If I didn't win, it's not that I wasn't happy with my team all the time. It was just happy. I wasn't happy because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, in order to have consistency in a long career, you're always you got to win.
You got to compete. Yep, it's always a competition.
So that's one of the things that always drove me as a player.
A few years ago, I used to be able to cover practices and whatnot. And you told me about a player that reached out to you with Fulham when you were there, kind of reinvented Eddie Johnson as a forward.
Right.
When you went from being Eddie, the guy who likes to cut in, to being Eddie from 12 yards out,
right,
that makes stuff happen. I mean, you're now doing what Brian McBride did with you quite a bit. Talk a little bit about that conversation that McBride had with you back then.
Yeah, Brian McBride. I mean, he's a legend. You know, he had he was one of those veteran guys that helped young guys out too as well. Even when I first broke into the national team scene, he was sitting on the bench. Bruce Arena was starting me over him in World Cup qualifiers. You know, and he never once, never stopped going out of his way. Even when I was on my scoring, streak earlier in my national team career, he was like, keep it going. You know, I'll never forget when he took me aside when I started against Azteca in Azteca. I think I was like 19 or 20 years old. And he told me, he said, you're going to start getting teams as they know you're starting to, you can score goals and stuff. They're going to do whatever they can to get you out of their game. They might kick you. They might pinch you. They might grab you some places on your body that they're not supposed to. But just think of that as, they're intimidated by you. So that's a good thing, but how to deal with it. So he was always one of those guys that took me aside. And like you said, even when I was at Fulham, I've always been a striker that liked to drift, get the ball, run at guys, play off the shoulders of a the target striker. And going over there, one of the things I learned is that you got to have more than speed. You gotta really know how to find other ways about your game to give you better chances to score goals. And what took me a hard time to adjust is waiting for balls to get out wide and my timing of my runs in the box, and getting on the end of things. And that's something that I struggle with in the system in Fulham, and that's what kept me out of the game. But what I always tell the younger guys now that are coming up, that are having trouble, or in droughts or whatever, I always say my experience in Fulham, for me, it was a success. Maybe not to the public that I went over and things didn't go well, but for me, I learned so much more being in that environment as a player, and it helped me develop as a player and a person, and it showed when I came back to Seattle.
And that's something that we don't, as fans, always realize, that you made me think about that we always look at success by stats, scores, and sometimes like Chicharito, in a way, I'm kind of replaying. He maybe didn't have the stats when he was at Real Madrid or
man, you just being biased because he's Mexican, man.
Yeah. I gotta throw it out there, though, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Chicharito. He's a baller.
Yeah,
he's a baller.
He's scoring fine now. He's got those numbers.
He's a baller.
What was your favorite part about playing in Azteca? I mean, was it immense? Was it 90,000? I mean, did you feel the people on top of you screaming, throwing stuff? I mean, what was it like? What was your favorite part about that?
Man, it's overwhelming. It's intimidating. When I was young, just seeing what I love the most about it, and I'm hoping soccer get there one day in our country. It's just how much love and passion they have for the game, and how much every game means, much every point in qualifier means to that country. What they do to throw you off your game on the way, on the bus, coming there, throwing rocks, everything. The whole country stopped for that one game and are behind their country, and that's what I love about it. And me being a player, when you see that, you want to go lay it out on the line for your country, and so that's one thing that, with all the experiences, I can say that going to these countries and stuff, I love the appreciation and passion and that they have for the sport.
So which victory over another country did you enjoy the most? And why was it Mexico?
God, man, you were killing us every
No,
time.
That's
he's obviously a big fan.
it'll be Mexico.
Yeah.
I was always on the national team. They were always saying that I couldn't score in big games. I'm not gonna shout out any of those broadcasters, but they know who they are. And so when I scored against Mexico, that clinched us to go to the World Cup in 2014.
Yeah,
For me,
that was.
I beat the odds.
Yeah.
Everything that I did leading up to that I've done all my career, coming from where I come from, no other goal meant anything more to me than that goal. And so that's probably my most memorable goal in my whole career. Scoring game because I was always criticized.
That's awesome.
And it being against Mexico.
Yeah.
That was kind of
You made my week, my year, everything.
That was that rebirth of Eddie Johnson too. That was your Seattle era. You came back, reestablished yourself.
That's right.
The Panama
The
game
Panama
here.
goal. Yeah.
Basically, that crowd and atmosphere got your good friend Clint Dempsey convinced that Seattle might be his future.
Yeah, and shout out to the Seattle Sounders organization. Everyone say the rebirth of Eddie Johnson and everything I put into it. None of it would be possible if they didn't take the opportunity to give me the opportunity to make that my dreams of playing professionally again, because I was out for 7 months. I didn't have a team, had no agent, no nothing. So shout out to Ziggy and Smesser and Adrian and all of those guys for giving me the opportunity to play soccer again. And they said what they. Ziggy told me, if you come in here and you do well, I got a great relationship with Jurgen Klinsmann, and I can get you back onto the national team. And he said
huge.
that, and it happened.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Right
You
there.
played the most games with the Sounders than any other MLS team, I think. It was 49 with us versus, I think, 43 DC, something like that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I remember coming in because you and Lamar have a relationship. I saw you and Mike. He assisted one of your goals in that game yesterday.
Yeah.
You guys have talked a little bit. I remember when you got traded, you said 2 beloved players are headed out, and you said at the time, my whole job is to earn the respect of the community.
Right.
And your play on the field, Mauro Rosales to Eddie Johnson was
Right.
Oh,
That's like one of those. You two had
that relationship.
your runs
Right.
better than anybody. I mean, that was
Right.
just beautiful.
I'm glad you were here, obviously. But I was always interested to see what would have happened if you ended up playing in Liga MX. I'm a big Liga MX guy. I'm a Chivas as well, Guadalajara. So I would have been like interesting to see how you could have done, with the success of some other players like Hercules.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hercules Gomez.
and
that's
that's-
right around the same time.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that, because that's the direction I was heading. I was down at IMG. I was out for 7 months. Freddie Adu, actually, at the time, I had a lot of personal things going on in my life at the time that I was dealing with, and death in the family, going through some stuff with my, my ex-wife and stuff. And so one of my good friends, Freddie Adu, called me and was like, man, I know you're going through a lot of stuff. Come down to IMG and come work out. I'm down here getting ready for the Olympic camp and stuff. And, it'd be good if you come down here and, get back in here. The soccer world misses you, man, because at that time, honestly, I was out for 7 months, man. I didn't even think I'd want to go back and play soccer just because I was dealing with everything I was doing. Then I went down there and I put my head down, started working out again, and I get a call from DeMarcus Beasley, and he was at Puebla at the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he called me and was like, the coach really likes you. He thinks you the striker that we're looking for. He really, he's admired your game. Would you want to come play for Puebla? So the first thing I said, man, I played in Greece. I know how it is not to get paid on time. I said, I ain't coming, man, if they're going to be not paying you for 3 months or don't pay you for 6 months. And then he was like, nah, since I've been here, I can honestly say they were 1 month behind. I said, 1 month behind. So he ended up convincing me to go, and I went there. And the guy that did my they sent me the contract. I had the lawyers and stuff at IMG look over it because I didn't have an agent at the time. And the contract was legit. So when I flew to Puebla, I went there, I trained and stuff. And, one of the agents went with me. And so I got out there. I wanted to train right away, and the contract was never signed off by the owner. And so the GM and the head coach at the time were going, kind of bumping heads because the GM wanted to sign a Mexican international striker, but the Osorio wanted to sign me. And
Hold
so,
on, did you say Osorio?
Yeah, Osorio was the coach at the time at Puebla. So he wanted to sign me, and so I started looking for places and stuff. And at the time, I went back to Florida to go get my wife at the time when I was married, to come back to Mexico to look at places. And then when I got to the airport, one of DeMarcus Beasley's friends called him and said, "Hey, this big article in the paper said the deal didn't go through, and that Eddie Johnson was out of shape. He wasn't what they thought he was, and if I was out of shape, you know me, I speak my mind. You guys see me, my mouth get me in trouble a lot. So I speak my mind. And I actually, for being out for 7 months, I wasn't Eddie Johnson sharp.
Right.
But I was good enough that I gained the respect from the players, and they were happy with me coming in. And so, boom, it's like
that's cold.
Death in the family, going through stuff in my marriage.
Come on, mi liga.
Then this,
Come on,
so I was
man.
like, man,
Keep it honest, mi
it's like
liga.
one thing after another. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm coming back to the MLS, man. You know what? I'm going to put my head down, And so that's when Chris Henderson reached out to me when I was down at IMG, and he said, come train. I was like, Chris, he knows me really well because I worked with him in Kansas City. I said, Chris, man, so much is going on right now, man. I was like, the league don't even believe in me, man. I was like, soccer, and I was like, look at this, what just happened in Puebla. He's like, no, Eddie, trust me. I know what you can do. When you're in an environment where you're focused, you got the right players around you, you got a coach that believes you. I seen what you did in Kansas City. He's like, just come. Ziggy wants you to train. Man. I went and trained that day, and I felt like I've been a part of the team for years. The way the team welcomed me in, the way the coach, talked to me, Ziggy and Smetzer after that training session. They said, if you come back to the MLS, we're going to go after you. And they went after me, and I ended up in Seattle.
That worked out fairly well because if I remember correctly, DeMarcus and Puebla and those financials didn't go well.
They ended up like catching the owner or something. They ended up going to like prison or something for like fraud or something
Mexican
like that.
tax people went into the locker room and started taking stuff out of it.
As much as I love my league, man, they have trouble sometimes.
But
like right now, one of the teams is
But I got a love and respect for the Mexican federation and the way they play the game. You know, they play the game the right way. They play an attractive style of football. And that league is a very fun league to watch.
Man, you get to play, against teams like El Tri and all players of that caliber. And you got 2 gold cups, right? What was it like winning what was the cup that you're like, man, this is the one that I contributed to the most?
Yeah, man, it'll probably be the Gold Cup with I've won 2 Gold Cups. I've won one with Bob Bradley and one with Jurgen. But I say the one with Jurgen, I felt more a part of the team. You know, with Bob Bradley, I was always in and out of the team. Josie was up and coming, and, we kind of like, we didn't have the best relationship. And I'm being honest, him and I didn't have the best relationship. And, Josie started playing. I was at Fulham, and I wasn't playing. And I kind of went out of the picture for about 2 years and 2.5 years. And then I kind of made my way back in when I went on loan in Greece. And I got into that pre-World Cup camp and down in New Jersey before they made the final roster to the 2010 World Cup. But this Gold Cup, and I think it was 2013. I felt more a part of that team because, Jurgen brought me back in the team. I was starting. I was scoring goals. I felt like I was a part of his plans. First time on the national team, I felt like I was a part of the team's plans. Like that was when Bruce Arena was the coach, and I went to the 2006 World Cup. So that last Gold Cup.
20 or
yeah. So that last Gold Cup, I felt like I was a part of everything that was going on, and I was in the coach's plan. So that meant a lot to me.
I'm getting a little giddy right now because he's talking about Bruce Arena and Bob Bradley, Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah.
He's talking about national team players and Freddie Adu.
I know when you mentioned the Gold Cup, I was like, I got a little like, we didn't win that one. They won that one. And I was like, oh yeah.
So you played with a ton of forwards with the national team, MLS, overseas. who was one like that? He was your preferred partner. If you could play one more game with one guy up top, the two of you running it a defense,
Man,
who do you want that to be?
me and Dempsey, I think y'all all know that, man.
Let's
go.
Me and him ain't get the time that we deserve, you know, and that's what I'm saying. You know, Bob Bradley came in and he had his different ideas. You know, every player ain't gonna be a part of every coach's plans. You know, certain coaches like certain personalities, certain coaches don't like certain personalities. But if I can go back and I look back in my career, I feel like me and Dempsey got short-armed, man. I feel like we deserve more time together, and the fans wanted to see it. You know, but I wouldn't go back and change anything. You know, I'm happy. You know, like I said, coming from where I come from and accomplishing what I accomplished and playing in a World Cup and being a part of all 3 World Cup cycles. You know, there wasn't a cycle that I wasn't a part of. I had a hand in every cycle. You know, so I was right there on the verge of playing in every World Cup, those three World Cups. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? I'm proud of everything I've done in my career and everything I'm doing right now.
Dude, I mean, I'm over here like
Yeah.
literally, you played in the greatest tournament in the world, the greatest sporting event in the world. You've made some of the most crucial goals for the U.S. to make the World Cup. So it's like huge, man.
Yeah.
You talked about right now. You got to play soccer again last night or yesterday afternoon with Steve in his tournament.
Yeah.
You had the ball at your feet, and it was like nothing had changed. Like you were dribbling at guys, you were posting up. Everything was there for you. What did it feel like to be out there? It wasn't a competitive environment, but obviously you know so many of those players.
Oh, I think you were a little competitive yesterday.
Oh,
I'm always competitive.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always competitive. Me and Steve even had words on the field yesterday. I swear to God, me and Steve. No, seriously, we had like words. We were going at it. Like I said, Steve, man, these teams are unfair, man. He's like, Eddie, don't start. He said, Eddie, don't start this. Don't. I said, man, you got 2 experienced World Cup players in the back guarding me, man. I said, Steve, and before I came, I said, Steve, what are the teams? He's like, I don't know. They picked the teams. I go, yeah, right, Steve. You pick the teams. You pick the teams. But nah, you guys are talking about me, man. Steve was sharp yesterday.
Yeah.
I was even talking about it with my girlfriend and stuff. I was like, man, Steve, man, he was moving because he told me, he's like, man, I've been training. I was like, and to me, I train with kids every day down in Florida, so I was looking forward to it, and I've been working out. I started working back out and eating healthy and stuff, you know, because, you know, the first 4 months when I was retired, I wasn't doing anything. I started gaining weight, man, so I was like, man, I need to get back out there and start working out. And then this charity match, I told Steve I wanted to be the MVP, man.
Getting a lot of love, man.
And
A lot of people saying,
yeah.
man, a lot of shout-outs, a lot of love.
Yeah.
Fellow Floridians
Yeah.
for life. EJ,
That's
always
what's
been
up.
proud of you. Love you. That's from Peter. I think Tara a little bit
that's
ago.
what's
Talk about it. Loving how you're talking about your start in soccer.
Yeah.
A lot of feedback, man. A lot of people saying this is one of the great interview, man.
You had a hat trick.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, yeah, I got a hat trick. You know, it weren't the most beautiful of all goals, but hey, a goal's a goal.
goal's a goal.
You know, but
Right.
no, like, you know, enough about me really, but about that charity event. You know,
Yeah.
like I tell Steve, I told him the other day. You know, he's just an inspiration to us all. You know what he's still doing to give back to the game and to change lives and stuff. You know, me for someone that's you know, just find my new calling in life and my new path in life and passion for the game in another lens. You know, he's an inspiration to me. You know, and everything he's doing with Kingdom Hope, you know, is something that motivates me every day to wake up and be a better person and give back to those who need. So shout out to Steve Zaccaroni, man.
Absolutely.
I asked
The next president, man.
Next president.
Big things.
Steve for president, man.
I asked him, give me a couple names of players that came because it's Kingdom Hope and what Kingdom Hope does, and his answer was Patrick Ianni and Eddie Johnson. He said that when they know what Kingdom Hope is, and while some of these are like, hey, it's Steve Zaccaroni, it's
Right.
an Adidas event or it's a
Right.
Sounders related event.
Right.
He's like, Eddie's here because it's for the kids.
Right.
And he said the same thing about Pat. So,
Right.
That was kind of
Right.
great
Right.
to hear.
Flew
you know?
6 hours in the middle seat too, bro. Middle seat.
That's
Middle seat.
That's
Hey,
when
hey, all the way here in the
Steve's
middle
out here
seat.
saying he did not book the
But
flights.
but I always say too, you know, I tell people, beggars can't be choosers. You know, it's all for a good cause. You know, and like I said, this is the second annual event that I've been to, and it's getting bigger and bigger each year.
Question.
The first time I've ever felt like I was still playing again was yesterday. Like that whole walk out and out, the national anthem with the flag, the troops holding the flag and stuff. You know, it was just so well put together. And man, I'm so how do I say it? Anxious to see, you know, what the future holds for Kingdom Hope, because it's it's just growing at a fast pace. You know, and you know, I told Steve, man, one day, man, I want to come here and see the Century League Stadium full. You know, just a bunch of people there. It's for a good cause. And, you know, every year, you know, bigger names are starting to come. People are starting to buy into it, you know, because it's like I said, it's all for a good cause.
That's
Nice,
right,
man.
Absolutely.
Getting a lot of questions. Before we get into a lot of them, a really good one is Paul Cox. Real talk. What do players think about TIFO?
TIFO, what do players?
TIFO or the banners,
The
that you
displays.
get, banners that you
Okay.
get.
What do players think about it?
Yeah.
I mean, it represents everything the Sounders organization stands for. You know, when we go out there, you know, as players, and we're walking out there in front of all of our fans, you know, we want to give you something. We want to give you something to take home for it, with your passion and your commitment and all the sacrifices you guys do traveling to away games, and you know, the energy you bring into the stadium, yelling and shouting, and not only that, being with us through the tough times, you know, like right now what the team's going through. You know, one thing I loved about this city and this organization, win, lose, or draw, you know, you're always behind your club.
That's
and
right.
This little stint that the Sounders are going through, I know being here, they'll get out of it, you know, because I know that everyone that wears that jersey, when they step on the field, they know who they're playing for, and they don't got a better fan base that's behind them, that's backing them.
I agree. So, Eddie, what we're going to do here is we're going to ask you a few of our standard questions.
Okay.
These are
Hard-hitting.
super
Intense.
critical, like make or break your relationship
With
the
the fans.
Okay.
and your future. No,
You're
but-
intimidating them,
Yeah,
man.
ask you some more
I
questions.
ain't trying to argue with no fans. man. I want to be trending for me talking about me working with kids, not fighting with no fans.
Yeah. No, we're gonna we'll
this
come
will be
back to
good.
that. Don't worry, these aren't that bad. I'm just
Yeah.
giving you a hard time. But so we ask every guest.
Yeah.
This is our 172nd episode.
Okay.
We've had everybody from like Alan Hinton, obviously Steve, you.
Okay.
Ton of people on, and we always ask this question.
Lamar.
Right. Them
Lamar,
big shoes to follow, man. Alan Hinton, Steve Zagwani.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had some
Yeah,
pretty good guests
yeah,
on.
yeah.
But you are our first
Yeah.
U.S. men's national team
Yes.
guest. So
Oh,
thank you
nice,
for,
nice.
Huge.
What's
That's
up, man?
huge.
Thanks for
Pretty
having
big
me.
for us.
Thanks for having me.
Down, man.
Thanks for having me.
Seriously.
So, Biggie or Tupac? Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, Tupac.
Really? You're from the East Coast and you go Tupac, huh?
Yeah, but Tupac's from the East Coast.
Oh, God. That's throwing it out
That's
there,
good.
dropping
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah.
That is good.
All
All right.
yeah.
All right. Favorite kind of Girl Scout cookie?
Favorite counter girl.
The Samoas.
Oh,
or
probably the
thin-
chocolate mint. What is
Oh,
that?
no!
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big one around
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
as
yeah.
you can tell.
Yeah.
Look at Derek over there. Team.
Yeah, he did too. Yeah.
I'm trying to lead him too with the Samoas. And
What do we got?
man. All right, man.
This is now.
So here we go. Being from Guadalajara, Mexico, what is your favorite kind of taco?
Favorite kind of taco?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, don't talk about. Please
Man,
don't.
Cindy, help me out. What's my favorite kind of taco, girl? We eat a lot of Mexican in Florida.
Okay.
Can I go back to that question, man? I can't even think right now.
I love it. I love it.
I can't even go. I want to be honest.
Favorite kicks.
Favorite
Shoes.
kicks?
Yeah, shoes.
Nike.
Boots.
Nikes. Any type of Nike. Retros, Nikes.
What do you wear on the pitch?
What I wear on the, oh, Nikes. I was sponsored by Nike all my career. Shout out to Nike.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nike.
That was the
yeah.
IMG era,
Yeah.
like because you were
Yeah.
in before Generation Adidas.
Yeah, Project 40 it was
Yeah.
called.
Project
Then,
40,
yeah.
right.
Ooh,
Yep.
before
What
we've got some-
what
we
brand?
got some
Kyle-
shoe nerds
Kyle is
that
like
are-
a shoe nerd, and he always
Okay.
wants to know like
exactly.
Like literally
Styles.
my
Soccer boots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nike Mercurials.
Mercurial.
Yeah, Mercurials,
Ah,
yeah.
There you go. And he
before-
probably knew that already,
Yeah,
so don't worry
yeah.
about it.
Before I forget, my boy Osvaldo, his son Antonio, super fan. He's like hoping you could do a shout out to Antonio.
Oh, shout out to Antonio,
Let's
man.
go, Osvaldo. Got you, man.
For
Love
sure.
it.
Shout out Antonio.
Okay, now
Question for since you're dealing with the kids right now. So
Yeah.
this is one of your focuses now,
Yeah.
which again, as a dad, I love this. Is like,
Right.
awesome. I love it. What is the advice for kids when they're getting into soccer? I mean, school and soccer. There's this fine a delineation, and we talked to Steve about this last week about do you go play soccer? Do you go to school and play soccer? How do you feel about that?
College, the college opportunity,
Yeah.
like the
College
Jordan
versus
had to
going
make that
pro?
decision.
Yeah, like Jordan Morris.
Steve
et
had to
cetera.
make that decision at one
Exactly.
point.
What I tell the young kids, it's all about timing. And now that I'm working with younger kids, I speak with a lot of the parents, and some of the parents, are realistic. Some of the parents, my kids are gonna go pro, even when they're 12 years old right now. I know it. He has the drive, he has the ability and stuff. Yeah. But like I said, I talk to a lot of parents, and they want some of them kids play soccer right now, and they don't want them to make a career out of it. They want them to use their talent to get them a free education where they can go to college and get a free education. But what I tell kids, it's timing, and I think everybody's timing is different. I went at 17. I didn't start playing when I was 17. It took me 3 years to sit on the bench and not play, and make my breakthrough. Whereas if I'd have went to college, I'd have been playing in those 3 years I wasn't playing. You see what I'm saying?
Yep,
So it's like everyone's timing's different, and like I said, you want to have something to fall back on at the end of the day. Like my situation, things happen, out of nowhere.
Yep.
And it's about for me, going to college, get an education, and preparing yourself to what you want to do, when soccer's done, because our careers are short.
That's right. Absolutely.
Going back to the music angle, what was your pump up music? Like pregame, you needed to get
Good
when you
question.
needed to get hype. What did you listen to?
So I'm gonna tell you, this was my my game day ritual.
Love it.
Throughout the day before the game, a lot of R&B, like soft, relaxed music, because I don't want to get too worked up before the game, leave all my energy at the house or on the way going to the game, But I only listened to like the crunk turn up music probably like 10 minutes before I went out to walk out, because I wanted to have that adrenaline rushing and stuff where I was, once I got out there and started warming up, I was ready to go. So what I used to listen to a lot in my my headphones was a lot of Tupac. I listened to a lot of Future.
Okay. Nice.
So I kept it East Coast.
That's interesting.
East Coast.
But
Yeah.
like at
Down
at the
south a
house
little bit.
and riding in, it was mellow.
But in our locker room too, you got a lot of different personalities. You got the Spanish guys playing their music at a certain time. You got the
right.
you got
Got a little salsa
you got
out
the
there.
crazy gringos playing their Casey Keller music at the time, and Marcus Hanneman music at the time.
Marcus, yeah.
And then you got like the Caribbean guys and the African American stuff playing their rap music. So it was always balanced, man. It was
That's
all
good.
balanced.
Two-part question. National team and Sounders, who pulled the biggest pranks that you can remember?
Good.
On the national team, who pulled the biggest pranks?
Yeah, when you were playing, and then on the Sounders, who pulled the biggest prank?
Oh, biggest pranks on the Sounders was probably be me. Probably be me. Yeah, Steve?
Steve said maybe.
I'm one of them. National team, biggest pranks would probably be, I can't even. Do I want to go past or present?
Either one.
Either one.
Past, Frankie Haydick. I said
Oh,
Frankie
that doesn't
Haydick.
surprise
Yeah,
me.
Frankie
Okay.
Haydick.
Wow.
Frankie
Okay.
Haydick.
You
Frankie Haydick.
seen him? His like behavior with the crew fans and
He's
everything.
crazy,
still
man.
out there, just
yeah,
like
he's like a
Yeah.
diehard. He
be
bleeds
up
yellow
there on
and
the
black,
rails.
right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, he bleeds yellow and black, man. yeah. Crew colors.
What was
yeah.
that last prank that you pulled? Do you remember?
Oh, but the last one I pulled was probably like. I always used to like pranking guys when they're getting a massage, man. When they're as relaxed as they can be. And so 2013, when it was myself, Steve, Showery, Joseph, who else? Oba. We'd always be like the last ones leave the locker room, right? And Showery, Joseph was getting a massage at the time, and I went and I took a rag or a towel put it in the cold bathtub. So I got it really cold and wet, and it was really heavy. And I slapped him in the face.
Oh my God.
He was on
that's
his
great.
back. He was looking up, just so relaxed. And I just slapped him with it. So that was funny. We were down
That's
laughing.
pretty epic.
That's
Yeah.
legit.
Who was your favorite sounder to play with?
Favorite sounder to play with?
Or maybe sounder a two-part again, or like national team player. You said Clint earlier, obviously, but like favorite player in general.
Favorite player? Man, it was a lot of them, man. I don't think I can just say one.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fair.
Zach and Wani, the short time we got to play with each other. Ozzy Alonso.
Yeah.
Can it be sounders?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mauro Rosales.
Mauro. Oh, he killed
Because
us this
you
weekend.
said earlier too. I mean, the relationship you guys had was
Killed us with that assist.
And Freddie Montero too.
yeah.
A lot of people didn't think we didn't like each other, or the camaraderie wasn't there. But if people look back at 2012, I still say to this day we should have won the MLS Cup.
Yeah.
I talk to guys like Mike McGee till this day. That's a good friend of mine. Even when they won that game, after Adam Johansson handballed it unintentionally, and then Robbie King made the PK. Man, they were saying they don't know how we got out of the win.
Yeah.
They knew we deserved to win that game. And that's the year me and Freddie Montero played up top. I think I scored 14 goals. He scored 13 goals. So he was one of the favorite players. Mauro, Ozzy, and Zach Awani.
Okay.
The group here does and
Oba too. Shout out to Oba too.
yeah.
I can't forget Oba, man. Oba too.
They do a Sonarfeed FIFA tournament. The Sonarfeed's the name of the show. The FIFA tournament raises money for the Lamar Nagel Foundation.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you're in town, we'll reach out to you.
But, yeah, for sure.
What team would you play with when you play FIFA?
Nice question.
What team would I play with if I play FIFA?
Yeah.
Oh, Real Madrid.
Let's go. I love Madrid. Yes.
I'm not.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
I'm a Ronaldo fan. Steve knows. I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo fan,
Yep.
man. Benzema fan. I respect and love what Messi do, but if you ask me who the best, I'm gonna say Ronaldo, man.
Nice.
And you were a Ronaldo fan when he was with United too, right?
Yeah,
Like
I've always been a Ronaldo
when
fan.
he came up.
Since he was at United. My second start was against Manchester United at home at Craven Cottage, and I was playing out on the right, so him and Nani would switch sides sometimes, and so I was defending the whole time, so.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
All right, so we have a lot of questions that people asked before, and then we'll open it up here in a minute to ask some more questions here locally as well.
Okay.
This is kind of a question that we normally ask, but one of our viewers is taking it over as well. Lickett would like to know, how do you feel about socks and sandals?
People that wear
and
socks
just
and
so
sandals.
you know, there's somebody here who wears them a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead, answer it freely and honestly.
Be honest.
Go ahead.
You always keep it honest.
Keep it real.
Always keep it
How do I
honest.
feel about socks and sandals?
Yeah.
The way my feet look, I wear socks and sandals.
What? No! Wow!
So I knew you were coming on. I knew you were coming on tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing
Socks
my
and sandals.
American
Yeah.
socks.
Hey, and I swear, those used to be my lucky socks.
Yes.
On the
What?
national teams.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love
those
them.
used to be
What?
my national
Seriously.
team socks. Yeah, my game day.
I
those
wear those every
those are my
national
game day socks, man.
That's
Is
awesome
this
to
really
watch.
happening
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now?
yeah.
Yeah.
When you guys play,
Yeah,
I wear
those are
those.
my socks. I used to wear them all the
That's
time.
the best answer ever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
You played in the tournament yesterday,
Yeah.
and Steve let people have a chance to come play on the team as well. Some fans come on. The team as well.
Right.
And John got a chance to play. John
Beasley.
John Beasley.
Yeah.
And he was the smile on his face in the pictures yesterday.
Right.
You made his life. Like,
Right.
I mean, it was awesome to
Right.
watch and see.
Right.
How did it feel like playing with fans and having that opportunity?
I think it's awesome, man. And shout out to those guys too who paid their way to play, and then like I said, because it's for a good cause.
Exactly.
But to also have that love and passion for the game too as well. But I think it's important, not only do we go out there and we affect and we touch lives of the younger generation, but we touch adults too as well. And so anytime you get a chance to interact with your fans. I think it's a humbling moment, and it goes to show you that all the hard work that you've been doing over the years, doesn't go unnoticed. So when he came up and actually, told me I'm the reasoning why he first got involved in soccer.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't really know how to take it, because it's like sometimes I guess as a pro you don't even feel like I'm human.
Yeah.
I'm being honest, completely honest. Like, I'm human. I don't feel like I'm better than anyone is. No one else is. And just to hear that, man, I know my mom would have been proud. I mean, I was proud, but it kind of caught me off guard, because I just feel like I'm just out there serving the Lord's purpose, man.
Well, and that's what I think we all forget, and that's why we do the show, because we talk, and I'll admit there were times when I was not your biggest fan. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's okay.
I mean, but I'll say it to your face.
Yeah,
because where I was wrong is that I was looking at it as a numbers game, or I was looking at it from the flat. And what we've done over the years, this is our 4th year doing the show, and we've matured, sort of, not really.
Every
We're
once in a while.
still 12.
I still send snaps during the show.
Yeah,
of course.
But where we've matured is that you are human, and people, we're all human.
Right.
We all have issues. We all do things we wish we could change.
Right.
But to hear you say what you're saying tonight, it just. It makes me happy as a human being to look at what's
Right, but I've always been that person. The person you see on the field ain't the person you see off the field. Is what a lot of people don't know.
Exactly.
And sometimes you read these comments about you, and you be like, man, am I really that type of person? And you start to read it, and you start to read it, and you start to read negative things about you. You start to believe in it, man. And I was like, man, I'm not even like that. Why do people think I'm like this and stuff? But it's something that when I step on the field, I do any and everything I can to win that game.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if I have to get in an opponent's throat mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm gonna rip him apart. And that's part of my environment where I come from.
Yep.
It's survive by any means necessary.
Exactly.
You feel me?
I do. 100%.
Totally.
And so when you step on that pitch for 90 plus minutes, you turn off. You're
on
Eddie
mission.
on the pitch, and anything that happens during that point,
I'm done with it when I walk off the pitch. It's done.
Yeah.
I'm
So can I ask a controversial question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Because we're on this topic.
Let's go.
So, and this is not a troll, nothing. It's a serious.
Yeah, let's go.
One of our fans didn't come down tonight.
Okay.
Because she was worried about whether or not she could not ask it in a negative way.
Okay.
But this is relevant.
Yeah.
You made a comment when you were in contract negotiations. You
Right.
did this.
Yeah.
The whole pay me controversy, right, if you will.
Yeah. I love this question.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad you do, because I was worried about asking that.
That's been the best question y'all have asked me all show, yo.
A little bit rattled about
Yeah.
Can you talk about it? Can you talk
Oh,
about
absolutely. So it's like I'm a parent, right? I got 2 beautiful kids back there.
Absolutely beautiful. Yes,
I got
gorgeous.
a beautiful girlfriend too.
Yes.
So it's like if I tell my girlfriend, which she still get at me sometimes till this day, don't say nothing if you're not gonna do it, right? Right.
Yep.
Don't say nothing to me. Don't promise me anything, and don't do it. Right? I'd rather you tell me you can't do it.
Yep.
Than tell me you can do it and don't do it.
Yes.
Right.
Things were promised to me when I came to this organization, financially, that if I did what I did, I'd be compensated for it. And so we putting it all out there because I think it's important that the fans know they didn't forego what they promised.
Yeah.
And that's when things started going the way they went.
Yeah.
And that's what forced Eddie Johnson out of here. But with saying that, I still gave every ounce of my energy, every sweat, blood, tears, everything to this organization.
Yep.
So I think they got a lot more for their money.
Fair enough. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. Yeah.
That's legit.
Thanks, man. No, that's
They got
legit.
a lot
Yeah.
more for their money than what I was on. So I just wanted to be compensated, at the end of the day. Shout out to Seattle. I still love
Let's
y'all.
go.
I
Let's
still
go.
love y'all.
You have all that
That's it.
passion right there for
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because the whole time you've been praising the community and everything.
Yeah.
So,
This is my home, away from home, man.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
talking home away from home. We're
Yeah.
in South King County right
Yeah.
now. Fans know that when you were in this area,
Yeah. Oh yeah, Renton,
You
man.
were a- you
I
were
had
a
a- I had
South
a
Center
home
fan, right?
I had a home in Renton, man.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
I know this area real well.
so
Yeah.
get a
Charmaine.
little lighthearted
Oh, yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Your favorite place to go when you hit up South Center, and your favorite restaurant here in the Renton area.
Yeah.
Non-Berliner edition. We know
Yeah.
you're a fan. You're right here right now.
Yeah. So favorite restaurant?
Yeah,
Yeah,
favorite
South
restaurant
Center.
down here in this area.
Well, I guess we always had a meet and greet at Joey's.
Joey South.
Unofficial.
meet and greet at after being at the training facility for 4 hours, man. Hey, let's go eat at Joey's. Yeah, we always go. Me, Steve, Oba, Darwin, Lamar, sometimes DeAndre. You know, that was our little group.
Spot.
Dempsey, we get Dempsey in there every now and then.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's where Joey's. I like Joey's. You get to watch sports. You know, some good food. Yeah, Eli. But yeah, I'd say Joey's.
Coming
That's it.
back to the question that you passed on, no pressure. No pressure. Your favorite taco.
My favorite taco.
And if you're in the area, man, I can take you to the spot that is right now the hottest taco joint in town. Everybody's
His other
loving it.
passion is
Yes,
he runs a taco blog, so
Yeah.
this is his passion.
Like, check out the shirt, man. I'm voting for tacos. man.
Does it have to be tacos? Can it be anything Mexican?
yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Man, because I'm more like enchiladas type of. You know,
all right, that's
enchiladas,
good.
So I don't really like
Red, green,
mole.
mole.
Oh, mole.
Green.
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 Verde.
Green and mole. Yep. So Sonarfeed got its start 4 years ago at the Open Cup game at Kazar Stadium. So, which was the U.S. Open Cup game against San Jose, where we won.
Okay, yeah. That was a crazy game.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah.
So Sugar Toes was
was a
asking,
crazy
what
game.
happened at that crazy U.S. Open Cup game there?
I'm trying to go back to what happened.
The
Oh yeah,
San
I
Jose
remember.
announcer said that
Yeah, I remember. So we didn't start our strong team that game because Ziggy was resting a lot of the starters because we had an important. I think we had an important game that following weekend or
That's right.
midweek
It
or
was a
something.
Tuesday, Wednesday for the game.
Right, and so he rested a lot of our starters.
Yep.
And you know, we've always had some tough outings against San Jose.
Yep.
So it was one of those games where it was very chippy and stuff, and we ended up scoring. And when we scored,
Yep.
the fans had been giving me like crap the whole time on the
Whole
bench,
time, yep.
the whole bench. And so I'd always go back. Ziggy tell me, don't say nothing, don't entertain him. But you know me, hard-headed.
Let him know. Let him know.
Kiss at him, blow kisses. You know, just kind of like, you know, I like riling people up. But so when we scored, I went like San Jose's bench was right there, our bench was right there, and it was like this little bit of gap in between both benches, and I kind of went like right there, closer to their bench.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Like I kept saying yeah, because I know it was ticking them off.
Yeah.
And so like they started like coming towards me, and I kind of like held my ground and stuff. And I forget who the guy was. I can't remember his name. He started saying some stuff to me, and I kind of like pushed him back, and then he came at me. And usually, if you push someone where I'm from, you might as well finish. You got to finish it off,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I was expecting when he come back, he was gonna swing. So I kind of like swung first, and then Jason Hernandez, I saw at the last minute tried to come and hit me,
Yeah.
so like I ducked, and so it got all crazy and stuff, man. But you know, that was one of those things you go back and you look at it and be like, you know what, man, I wish I could have been a better pro. You know, I wish I could have been more professional. But you say it's part of growing. You know, if you don't learn from it,
That's right.
If you don't learn from it, then it's not growing. Then you know that's just who you are as a person. But I don't think I never got into anything like that again.
No.
in my
Talking
career.
about, you know, growing as a player through a career, I saw a documentary on Randall Cunningham last night, believe it or not, and it was actually really good. And it started how when he started getting big, you know, he was getting a lot of attention. He got
Right.
into a lot of trouble and kind of fell out of the favor with the fans, but it made a huge comeback with Minnesota. Came back and is a pastor. Kind of said, you know, it's part of growing through a
Right.
career, going through life.
Right.
Is there a player in any sport, not soccer, it can be soccer, but any other sport that you kind of see a similarity in your careers with? It's going to be hard because you did start at 16, playing in some of the biggest stages of the world. But anybody that you like? Okay.
I can't really. No players really come to mind right now as far as like, you know, started out young, a lot of expectations, went through a lot of trials and tribulations.
you mentioned Freddie, but you guys kind of went through that almost together, right? Like
Yeah. I think, you know, I just feel like everybody's situation is different.
That's right.
You know, one of my things is that, you know, I grew up through the youth system. I was pushed to become labeled the next big thing. Had some early success, then went through some trials and tribulations. But my willingness and drive to succeed coming from the environment that I come from in Bunnell, Florida, I didn't want to go back to that, man. You know, so I think, you know, I dealt with my trials and tribulations different than other people, and I can't really think none can't really come to the top of my head. But
that makes sense.
You know, you speak of Freddie Adu, you know, I'm hoping he can overcome his trials and tribulations, you know, because you know, people still forget he's still 26 years old, man. You know,
It's a fickle world we live in.
26
especially
years
in
old.
sports.
That's crazy.
Sports.
I haven't given up on him
You
yet.
see who
No.
his central midfield partner is now? Is
Nah.
Joe Cole.
No way.
Yeah, they signed Joe Cole.
Tampa Bay Rowdy sound Joe
Yeah.
Cole. Oh
So,
man.
You know, that's
Nice.
that's a huge name for
Nice.
that level
Wow.
of soccer.
Nice.
He was actually playing with Andy Rose.
You know that's a kind of similar story too. A lot of early success.
Yep.
Joe Cole really didn't live up to the potential that England thought he was going to live up to. You know, had a couple injuries, went and played in lower leagues and stuff. So, you know, that's a similar situation. You know.
You we've asked a lot of questions, some
Yeah.
hard and everything. One of our other regular ones is what was the last book you read?
The last
what
book I read?
book you read. Now I know
man.
Steve's got like a library. We don't know about.
Man, the last gem I read, man, I tell you, a fan by the name of Emily Rogowski.
Okay.
So I met her about 4 years ago, and she's a female. She's about 20 years old right now, and she reached out to me because she said she was inspired by you know, my career, how I've always overcame adversity. So she reached out to me, and you know, we kind of, you know they say certain people come into your life for a reason.
Yeah.
It's like it was our paths in life were bound to cross. You know, we needed each other at the right time. You know, and so when everyone had given up on me when I came back to America and said my better days were before me, you know, or past me. She was that one fan that really still believed in me, you know, and made me, you know, from a fan-player relationship, made me motivated to get out there and want to still do it, because just having that one person believing in you is enough, you know. And so she battled this disease where she's always fatigued. I forget what the name of it was. She's always fatigued.
Fibromyalgia.
I think that's what it is. And she kind of wanted to give up. She was a very good soccer player, so she wanted to give up. But then she started following my career and stuff, and then my success I started having in Seattle again. It made her drive to not give up her dreams and stuff. So she gave me this book, like it's called Mind Gym. Mind Gym.
Mind Gym.
I don't know if you guys ever
No,
heard of it.
I haven't heard of it. Yeah.
Mind Gym. And so what the book basically, you know, talks about, it's about you know, dealing with adversity, you know, handling situations, you know, when things are going good and when things are going, you know, bad, and you know, she said, you know, there's you should read this book, because this book, you know, reminds me of you and a lot of the things you've gone through, having success, and when things have gone well, how to overcome those things and stuff. And so that'll probably be the last book I read, probably like 3 years ago.
Mind
But
Gym.
it's
Yeah.
stuck.
Mind Gym. Yeah, it's stuck.
An
with me.
athlete's guide
yeah.
to inner excellence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is
All
there
right.
a $100 purchase or less that impacted your life or career? $100 or less, something that anybody could buy that's like huge that you could use or you use all
That
the
one
time.
thing that
one
somebody-
thing.
You kind of have to
$100
have,
or
but
less.
it's $100 or less.
Whether
And
it's
it
for
impacted-
training, whether it's for lifestyle. It was one person
If it
mentioned
was-
an ice cube tray.
If it was, can it be free?
Yeah, yeah.
We always talk about you know, giving back and supporting things for a good cause.
Yeah.
I'd probably say this love your melon bracelet.
Love your melon bracelet.
Love your melon.
Love your melon
bracelet. It's awareness for cancer. Awareness for cancer.
Okay.
Someone sent it to me, and they sent us beanies and stuff, and you're supposed to post it on Instagram and stuff. So, you know, I think that'll probably, you know, probably
Nice.
stick out to me. You know, like
Okay.
I said, it's all about giving back,
It
and
is, man.
you know, to make me a part of that was pretty special.
That's
You know,
cool,
it goes
man.
to show you, you know, a lot about, you know, the person and the respect that they have for me in order for being one of those persons that they wanted me to represent this. So I'll probably
Excellent.
say that.
All right. We'll ask anybody here if they have a question. We'll ask in a minute. I know Grandma probably does here in a minute. But Shane has a question. Have you ever been a part of a more epic comeback than scoring the winner in CCL play versus Tigres?
my
When you guys played against Tigres. Have you ever been, is there more epic moment in your career of a comeback than that one?
Nah, I'll probably say that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
I
it.
can't think of anything.
That's
that
it
was,
too. I was on the verge of freaking becoming super rich, man. Because if we'd have won the MLS Cup in 2012, that was gonna be a book to write, man.
Yeah.
Things don't go well in Europe. Come back out of the game for 7 months, get picked up by Seattle, and win a scoring and win an MLS Cup.
Yeah.
When everyone ripped me off,
Documentary.
Yep.
Let's go.
You still got a
Robbie
heck of a
Keane
story.
took that out of my mouth, man. With that pick. Robbie Keane.
Crafty.
Robbie, I was
He
so
is
close,
crafty,
but I
isn't
was
he?
so close. I was so close, man.
All right. Good.
DC. You go there. Things didn't go how you wanted.
Right.
What was it like to find out that like a doctor's recommending you don't play?
Well, just to go back a little bit before that, what you said, things don't go out the way, you know, I would have liked for them to go. You know, first of all, you know, when I went there, they signed me as a designated player, and I didn't get off to a scoring scoring start in the beginning. You know, I wasn't finding the back of the net. You know, I felt like I was playing well, but just, you know, was lacking confidence for some reason, whatever, and the ball wasn't bouncing my way. But I don't know if you guys remember, it was an article in the Washington Post where they said Eddie Johnson saying that the players in Seattle was better than the players in DC. And so I started getting criticized for not scoring goals, you know. And we all know, you know, it takes time to learn different systems. You know, I don't care if you're messy. You know, if you're coming from an environment where you're a team that possesses the ball, you know, have good technical players, play this really good attacking style of play, which I came from in Seattle, to go into DC and then you become direct, you know, and you lack that quality in attacking half that supplies you the service that you need. And so I was asked, you know, Eddie, you know, you're in a bit of a scoring drought, you know, you haven't gotten off to a good start, you know, what's the reasoning and stuff. And I said, you know, it's life, it's football. You know, it takes time to gel. You know, I didn't have a full preseason with DC United because I was with the national team, and I was injured when I came in after the national team camp. And I said, it takes time for me to gel, to get used to the new faces, Ben Olsen style of play. You know, whereas in Seattle, I played a beautiful attacking style of football where I got used to playing with the players that I'm playing with. So, of course, it's going to be hard for me. So they took it and twisted and turned it the wrong way. Kind of got in trouble for that. Ended up having to apologize to the team in front of the whole entire team. I'm giving y'all the raw.
We appreciate it.
What's all going on behind
like,
closed doors that people don't know what goes on. So, you know what I mean? I tell everything. And so I had to apologize in front of the whole team. And it was like, man, you know, not this again. Now they're trying to label me and perceive me. That's what I wasn't trained. Washington Post took my story and twisted and wrote what they wanted to write. You know, so then you say, like what you say, you know, my career was cut short. You know, and how that all happened, you know, one night, 3/4 through the season, I suffered a really bad concussion in DC, and so I was out for about a month and a half. And you know, I passed the test to come back and play, you know. But I really found myself after sessions, you know, really intense sessions, of feeling really like lightheaded, dizzy, and nauseous. as players, you don't really want to say anything.
Yeah.
Really want to say anything. But I felt fine. Once again, I passed the test. And so after that really intense training session, I went back home, and I felt like I needed to just get out of my apartment. I needed some fresh air. It didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So I went to Georgetown with my buddy and stuff, and I was walking. I was like, man, damn, I feel like I'm gonna faint if I keep walking.
Snap.
Do I need to eat? Probably need to go eat somewhere. So I went and I ate, started feeling a little better. Went to bed early that night, and then when I woke up, how sometimes you sleep on your arm the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so I woke up. My arm was like numb, Then again, there wasn't anything wrong with my body. There was no pain in my body, but it was just like my arm was numb. Kind of was shaking out my arm, trying to get the feeling back in my arm. So it didn't start coming back as fast as I wanted to. So I started like panicking. And so I started going into like this anxiety attack where I started like shaking and shit. So I was like, oh, fuck.
Damn.
Fart. So I knocked on the door. My buddy was in town visiting, so I was like, I can't like feel my arm, bro, and I'm like freaking out. He's like, man, you're fine, man. You'll be all right. Just go chill out, whatever. He's like, you just slept on it wrong. I was like, I know what you're talking about. So I started freaking out. So I kept freaking out a little more. It didn't work. So then like I really started having an anxiety attack. So he took me to the hospital. My blood pressure was really high. It was like 200 and something.
Whoa.
Over
Damn.
something. And so like, but I was conscious and everything. I knew exactly everything that was going on. And then they asked me, did I ever suffer from high blood pressure? I said, no, but it runs in my family. So they said, we think you got a small case of hypertension.
Yep.
But with the numbness in your arm, we want to like keep you overnight and just kind of like, evaluate everything. Make sure you didn't suffer a minor stroke or anything in your sleep, So I passed all of the tests and stuff. And, the next morning, they kept me overnight. Next morning, I passed all the tests and everything. They cleared me to play in the last game. They said, but we want you to get further testing because we saw something that's very concerning. And that's what it was. They found a medical situation that forced me to not play anymore. Went through a series of doctors to see if I can give myself a chance of playing again. And it's kind of crazy because the situation is that, something may never happen to me, but there's like a very small percent that something can happen. And one of the things that makes it hard too, that they didn't take running away from me. And all my life, all I did was running, and so it's like running's actually good for the condition. Sitting around and not doing anything is not good for the condition. So exercise, I run miles every day on a treadmill at a controlled pace, and it's actually good for my condition.
Nice.
Wow.
So the kind of the distance running is they don't want you to do like the
burst.
sprints. That
Yeah,
burst
they
speed
don't want me like sprinting and stuff, and basically just playing at the highest level.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can do control running, and like I said, all my life, what they discovered is that I was born with it. Somewhere down the line, it was misdiagnosed.
Yeah.
But luckily, in my case, I caught it in time.
That's
like
good.
15,
Wow.
16 years is
Yeah,
like a
I
top
caught
level
it in
pro
time.
athlete.
Crazy.
Caught it in time and
The highest level of the
still haven't
Blessed,
had
yeah.
any problems. So now what I'm doing right now, I'm working with kids and giving back the knowledge that I learned with the kids. But also, I'm gonna be opening up a nonprofit organization, to help gain awareness and run camps and stuff to fund kids with similar situations
Nice.
that
Yes,
I have.
let's go.
Down Central Florida.
And I'm gonna start doing that in Florida. But that's all because Kingdom Hope. Like I said, Steve inspired me to be better. And not get comfortable. I always want to. I feel like we can do more.
Right.
What I'm doing with the kids right now is good, but I want to do more. And so as an athlete, a professional athlete, you set goals. Once you accomplish something, you want to do more. You want to be the leading goal scorer in your team. You want to win championships. You want to make the national team. You want to play in World Cup. So now I want to have that same passion that I had in soccer and do it in another sense, but still a part of the game, and give back and do more
Finding that next stage is amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
That is so
So
exciting.
I want to say something. So we started the show for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
The first one was we wanted to go out and have a drink on Monday nights, and just kind of have an excuse to go out and have a drink. That's
okay.
our first rule. That was
Awesome,
our first one.
awesome.
Our second thing, once we actually stuck, and like I said, now we're almost 4 years into it.
Right.
And Dave mentioned it earlier, is we're big fundraising. We love to give back to our community.
Nice.
And we told Steve last week, and we'll say the same to you here. With Lamar locally, even though he's not here anymore, we still work with him.
Right.
We would love to help in whatever way we can.
Oh,
Once
nice.
you get things going,
Nice.
let us know what we can do. Even if
Right.
it's something small, we'd
Right.
love to help
Oh,
in any way
nice.
we can. 'Cause that's
Nice.
that's our main passion.
And
now,
that's what it's
is
all
helping.
about too. You
It
know,
is.
helping others, help each other.
It is.
You know, and I really appreciate
And
that.
I know our voice is this.
And I'll hold you to
compared
that too. I'm
Do
gonna
it,
hold
man.
you to that.
Seriously, do it.
Hold us to that.
We will.
Keep
I'm
us
hold-
on
I'm
this.
gonna hold you
Dead
to that.
serious.
We will
For sure.
do
I really
as we
appreciate
say,
that.
man.
I really
we
appreciate
don't back out on that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I really appreciate that.
We took a small video game tournament from like 10, 12 people to now, a few hundred that's raised close to $25,000
Oh, nice.
in 4 years, playing FIFA, bringing friends together, raising money, helping the Lamar Nagel Foundation. And, once you get going, anything we do to plug, to help promote. And even
Nice.
if we were all the way across the country, man.
Nice, nice.
We
I
definitely
really
want to
appreciate
support
that.
that, man.
11 first-teamers
Came
the
out
Sounders were
for our
were
tournament
here.
this year.
Oh, nice.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Nice.
Sad Marshall, Stephen Fry,
Oh, nice.
Don.
Darwin was
Schweitzer.
definitely there.
No,
Yeah.
Darwin was
Not
not
this
there.
one.
No, not this
He's
one.
been in the previous
Okay,
years,
okay.
yeah.
Not this one, but
nice,
yeah.
nice.
But
Yeah, we
a
love
lot of
Dar.
those academy.
Nice.
Dom didn't play this year, but he was
Nice.
He was out, and so
Nice.
he and I chatted. And
Yep.
that
Nice.
was great.
How's he doing, by the way? How's he doing?
Doing good. He's
Yeah.
he's going to get a master's in sports management.
Oh, okay, nice, man.
He wants to.
Yeah.
He wants
He had
to
a
be a
baby.
front office
Yeah.
And
guy.
that's one of those things we go back to say, what would you advice you give the kids whether it's going to college or pro?
Yep.
Everyone's
Different.
situation's different, but
Yeah.
he used his talent, got a free
Yep.
education at UW.
Yep,
you
exactly.
know, and something good came out of it.
That's right.
And that's what it's
And-
all about.
And we love Dom's
Shout out
a
to
local.
Dom.
Shout out to Dom, yo.
Yeah, Dom. Yeah.
Little bro.
Yeah. Dom was on our first show of this year.
Okay,
He was
nice.
on a show a couple years ago
Nice,
too. But
nice.
yeah, it was him and
Good-
Just
good-
Solo. Yeah,
Good guy, great young man.
great young man.
Him and
Beautiful
I snap,
daughter.
man. I'm sending that.
Yeah,
he's
that's
like
good.
that.
Great. So, Grandma, you had a question over here, right? You want to hand her your mic? Can you hand her your
Yeah,
mic?
I did have a question.
Happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank
Let's
you.
go.
What do you think of the situation with Kai?
With who?
With Kai Kamara.
Kai Kamara. Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question. Yeah.
I know Kai very well. Steve Zakawani knows him really well. And if you ask me, if I had a chance to sign him to my organization, if I was the owner or GM, he'd be one of the first guys. Very great guy, does a lot, giving back. Great individual. A realist too. At the same day, he's kind of like me. Speaks his mind. I just think it was one of those things where, we don't know what goes on in that locker room, and it's something that's been going on that hasn't been out in the public, and it came out during the heat of that moment. A lot of emotions are going on. Strikers, we like to score goals. He was on a hat trick and stuff, and I think it's some tension between him and Higuain that's probably been going on, and it came out in that moment. And he probably wish he can go back and wish he didn't say those things. But that's the thing about being a professional athlete or just people in general. We aren't perfect. We say things sometimes without thinking. But it's happened, and it's about being better and learning from the things that you said. And he knows he's better than that, and he's bigger than that, and it's something that's happened. That he regrets.
That's a good answer. That's a great
Yeah.
answer. So, all right. Does anybody else here have a question? Grandma has one more, and then Lisa has a question. Oh,
One of Lisa's classics is when the Eddie Johnson story is a movie. Who plays Eddie Johnson?
Who plays
What
Eddie
actor?
Johnson in the
What
movie?
actor?
That's a great question.
Wesley Snipes. Oh, Steve for the win.
Steve
God.
shout out.
Background.
Drop mic.
See,
He don't even have a mic, and he just dropped it.
he's trying to roast me low key. He's roasting me low key. Low key, he's roasting me.
Who plays Steve Zakawani?
Who would play Steve Zakawani? I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. See, he's trying to roast me. I'm gonna be honest. He's trying to be funny. I'll be honest. What's his name? Elba. Idris Elba.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
See, see me. I'm being honest. He's trying to roast me. See with that gold hair, everyone, demolition man. But that's who would play. That's who would play.
That is a
Someone
great.
mentioned that they think maybe Tracy McGrady was someone that had a similar
Life.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Phenomenal player.
That's a great one.
Health issues.
Oh, we got mutual friends, Tracy McGrady too. We got mutual friends. That's I'd say yes. That's a great comparison.
Favorite sport, not soccer. NHL playoffs are going on. NBA playoffs.
Are you
do
a hockey
follow
fan?
them at all?
Sounds like you're a hockey fan.
No, I'm asking
No,
this
it's a
one
question.
for Alec.
Alec is a question here.
I grew up in Seattle, so I don't even know what hockey is.
I like all sports, but I'd say basketball.
Basketball.
I was tweeting last week before I came out to Seattle, and me and Steve was like, I'm up on the West Coast. I was like, is anyone up watching Stephen Curry right now? This guy's unbelievable. I think it was like game 5. I think it was game 5 or game 4 where he scored like 17 points in overtime.
Yeah. Yep.
He was like 0 for something going into the third quarter. Ended up with 40 points and just like
Bananas.
He's unreal.
Just blessed to be able to witness, this guy's talent, and I just feel like Klay Thompson too.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I feel like he's the complete package. He's so humble. He doesn't let the success get to him.
Yep.
He always put the team before him.
Do you like how he brings Riley out? His daughter.
I think that's nice. I think it's nice, and his daughters, she's gonna be a star of her own. She got a bunch.
Oh my
a
God. She's the best.
A ton of confidence, amazing personality, and it's one of those families where it's just father was a professional player, brother's a professional player. This is a blessed family.
Plus, if you're rooting against Oklahoma City,
Right.
everybody in Seattle will love you for that.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
be honest.
So, do you? I just thought. Do you recall, or is there a favorite? She's stealing the show. Your mini's stealing the show.
Yeah. Eli.
Love it, man. But do you remember any particular chants from the fans at
interesting.
CenturyLink after you score, or any particular, crowd going or saying something, or anything in particular that you remember you like, or maybe not like?
I used to love that. Yo, I'm telling you, you guys don't know, man. The first goal I scored in CenturyLink, man, and you guys made it. Hey there, Eddie Johnson. Score a goal for us. I go to a different planet when I start hearing
So
that,
this guy
man.
right over here is the guy
That
who
guy
leads.
right there.
He's
That guy
the
right
leader.
there.
Embarrassed.
Hey,
He's the one that starts the whole
Oh, shout out to my
He's-
man over there, man.
stadium. Yeah.
Y'all take me on a different planet when
Different
I start
guy.
hearing that song, man.
Yeah.
So he sacrifices not watching the match. 'cause
Nice.
He's there leading the whole section.
Nice. I go to a different planet, man. When I become a different person on the field when I hear that chant.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Peter Postrowski wants to know, what was the deal with Tiefert wearing his long sleeve jersey?
Who?
Christian
Tiffert.
Tiffert. Yeah, Tiffert.
Always
I said
long
Tiefert.
sleeves.
Always
even
long
in
sleeve.
Dallas.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Oh,
100 degrees.
it's like a superstition. It's like a comfort thing. Him playing in Europe where it was always cold and
Yeah.
stuff. It was just like it was like a super. It was a comfort. It's like
'Kay.
it had to be there.
Had to be there no matter what.
One of those
Yeah.
persons that are just like, or like OCD, like,
Yep.
like it has to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
one of those things.
Nice.
I got
Or
family.
he was trying to, I don't know, lose weight or.
sweating it off.
I started doing it too in training. Like it can be hot too. I started wearing them too. He kind of rubbed off on me too.
That's so funny.
When you go home to Florida, what's the food you want that says, "Hey, I'm home again. I have to have it"?
Well, I dated a Vietnamese girl,
Nice.
so pho.
Let's go.
Good
What's the
answer.
hometown
Good answer.
food?
Pho. Man, love pho.
Some of her father's home cooked pho, man.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So our producer here has a question for you. So hold on.
So have you ever eaten at the Conch House in St. Augustine?
Nah, I haven't, but I'm gonna go there now.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
What type of food is it?
It's all just seafood.
Okay, like fresh oysters and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You
It's so good.
You highly recommend.
Highly recommend
We
it.
gotta go, Sydney. We gotta go. Yeah, we'll check it out when we get back.
Concourse,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Concourse.
You've been to a few Orlando City games.
Yeah.
And they're getting a pumped up crowd there.
Yeah. Not like
Surprising
Seattle, though.
everybody.
Not like Seattle.
Why is
There
it
you go.
working for them though?
Why is it working? Because being a Floridian, soccer's always been big. Growing up, soccer's big in Florida. It was about just getting the right people behind it to market. And there's no better market to have it in Orlando, where it's one of the best tourist attractions in the country. Every little kid grows up playing soccer in Florida, and like I said, the timing was right. We tried to do the 2 franchises, one in Tampa and one in Miami, and the timing wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I think we don't have the right people behind it. But they're doing it the right way. And every Friday it's pretty cool actually, because I live downtown, so it's pretty cool. The whole city's purple. Everyone's out wearing their jerseys.
Kinda jealous of that.
Yeah.
It's a little street called Church Street, Orange Street, where a bunch of bars and
Yep.
stuff. They're all just everything's Orlando City, and even leading up to the game that Saturday, everyone's tailgating. So the fan base is good, but I feel like they lack. I probably get killed for it a little bit. I just feel like they lack that passion that you guys have here.
He always keeps it 100.
40-some thousand fans that are up jumping, screaming the whole entire game. But they're growing though. They're growing, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for that organization.
And as a Seattle fan who is part of one of those 40,000 that are
Right,
screaming,
right.
I want every other stadium to have
Right,
that. I want every
right,
other city to have
right,
that.
exactly.
They
About
are-
5% less.
Right.
Well, yeah, sure.
Right.
But the reality is, and I think you'd agree. I'm pointing it off camera to he's the co-president of ECS out there.
nice,
But I think
nice.
you'd agree too. If we had more of what we have here,
Soccer's
it benefits
arrived.
all of us.
Soccer's
Yeah,
arrived in
benefits
this
all of
country
us.
once
Yeah.
it's like that.
Exactly.
20 Orlando
Yeah,
cities.
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure,
You
for
know,
sure, for sure.
Except less.
For sure,
5%
for sure.
less. But yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But they're doing it right in Orlando. They're doing it right. They get 30-some thousand every game.
Yeah.
You
They're
know,
Seattle light, basically.
And I've never tailgated, but I've experienced one of the tailgating events before, and they're creating some noise down there.
That's good.
They're creating some noise.
That's good. All right. So last chance. Do you have Grandma? Do you have one more?
Lisa had
You're good?
one
Okay.
here.
Lisa had one. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Lisa had
what
a
was
good
it like to score the goal in Seattle in the U.S. Men's National versus Panama? That was
Here.
her favorite Eddie Johnson goal ever here. When you scored the I think it was a qualifier, right? Against
Yeah, it was the
Panama?
qualifier.
Panama.
Panama.
Seattle
World Cup
Central League.
qualifier.
Central League was my office.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
go!
That's where me and Steve we go to work, man. It's no nonsense when you go on the field, and it's how the fans are. No nonsense. We want wins. We want results, and that for me, as far as you get back, you come here, you play well. I speak to Jurgen, get you back on the national team. Ziggy was a man of his word, so and that was a reward to everything he said as far as that, playing.
That's awesome.
Playing consistently, scoring goals here in Seattle, get back onto the national team.
So let's end the show.
I celebrate that goal with Ziggy Smith.
You
Yeah.
did?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah.
That's right. 'Cause
Yeah.
That was my first
You
game
went to the
back.
sideline.
I had
Yeah.
been I'd been in the hospital for a while, and that was my first game back.
Right.
I almost didn't go because I
Right.
just was like, I don't
Right.
want.
No comment from me just because the
Yeah.
L3.
Yeah, but that was my first game back.
Right.
I had missed a couple of Sounders
Right.
games. I was watching from the hospital, but
Right.
that was
nice,
memorable
man.
to me to watch
Yeah,
that game.
yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
And
cool.
to the fans too. You
Yeah.
guys all believed in me, and to score
Yeah.
in my home in front of my fans, man. That was unbelievable.
The
did
grandma
that
has a
one?
question after all.
I don't
or
have
comment.
a question, but I do have a comment.
Okay.
There are probably 200 of us planning on going to Orlando away for the
Seattle game.
For the
Yes.
Seattle game. So come sit with us.
Oh, I would definitely sit with you.
There we go.
That's a commitment.
When is that? When is that game?
August 7th, I think.
I'm
or 7th?
there.
7th, right?
I'm there. I might even drink with y'all. Too. I might even drink with y'all.
Be careful what you ask for.
And I'm gonna have on a Dipsy jersey.
I'll buy you your first drink.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to
go,
that.
Grandma.
I'm gonna hold you.
We got a couple wrap up.
Yeah, last wrap-up question here, and then we'll get into Kyle, who
Yeah,
can't be
good
here
one.
tonight. Great friend of the show. He's the one who's introduced us to like Dom and Stephanie
Okay,
and all those
okay,
guys.
nice.
And Dom couldn't be here because he has to work tonight.
Okay.
That's why he's not here.
Priorities. I ain't
Yeah,
running
that's
no wrong with
right.
that, Dom.
That's right. So Kyle wants to know, and it's a good question based on what you're doing. Have you ever thought about being maybe an athletic director or academy coach or something than that going forward? Like, here you are today. It's 2016. Where are you at in 2020, 2025, et cetera? Like, where are you going?
And that's a great question because that's what I tell everyone. My calling is with working with the youth kids, and I'm all about the youth developmental side because I feel like the youth, they get shorthanded with good coaching, at the youth. So what I try to do is correct those things at at 10, 11, 12 years old, so they don't have to wait till they're 15, 16, 17, 18 to develop those things. So that's what my focus is right now. However, with doing what I'm doing, I also get to learn and study the game from a coaching lenses as well. So not only just training kids is something that I want to do, but this is my calling right now. But it helps me see the game. It helps me learn systems because I get different kids that play in different systems and stuff, and I try and help them become better at what they're doing in their particular position in that system for whatever team they play with. So that's a great question, and we talk about wanting to do more. I want to do more than what I'm doing, but right now this is my calling. I'm loyal to it. I'm committed to it. I'm passionate about it. That's awesome. And there's no better feeling to see that, it's like you plant a seed and watching it blossom. The work that I'm doing with these young kids, there's no better feeling in seeing me and help them achieve their goals of being, young soccer players and potentially professional soccer players one day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Awesome. We've kept you here more than 90
Yeah,
minutes.
man, way more, dude.
It's,
You are,
hey,
yeah,
we
your
gotta
time.
wrap up
Thank you.
As long as we don't go into a shootout, I'm okay. I kind of killed myself on that.
That's awesome. I love it.
They're about to switch over from a podcast bar into a karaoke bar.
Okay.
If you were to stay, I'm not asking you to stay.
Yeah.
I got in trouble from Steve's wife for asking this.
Right.
Right.
My
if
man.
you were to stay,
my man.
what song would you sing karaoke if you were to stay?
What song would
What's
I
your
sing?
go-to karaoke
if
song?
I'd go to karaoke, man.
He's got about 3,500, so you don't need to go.
So what would I sing?
What would you say?
What
What
would you
sing?
want to sing karaoke right now?
Probably it was like a song. I don't know. I said I was a Tupac fan over Biggie, but then a Biggie song came.
Juicy,
You know what?
Juicy. Was it
That's
Juicy?
okay. That's
crazy.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's okay.
Me and Steve were talking. We were
Steve
talking
said
about it
Biggie,
last
by
time.
the way.
Yeah.
I'll probably say Tupac, Dear Mama.
Dear Mama.
Dear
There you
Mama.
go.
All right.
That's the jam.
All right. Do you have anything that you want to say wrapping up here, Dave?
No, I mean, I love tonight because I've talked to Eddie at practices.
Yeah.
There were some times when Eddie
Right.
was very distant.
Yeah.
And there were other times the McBride story is still one of the better.
Right.
That interaction that we had,
Right.
I remember that, and I'm
Right.
But tonight, getting to know Eddie Johnson, the person, not
Right.
just a soccer
Yeah.
player,
Right.
that's valuable. Thanks for doing
Right.
that. Thanks
Right.
for coming out to Steve's event
Right.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Watching
Nah.
you with the ball at your feet, running
Right.
at defenders was great.
Right.
So I think the people who listen today and will
Yeah.
listen tomorrow
Yeah.
got so much more insight into
Right.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause, I mean, you were raw.
Yeah,
Right,
man.
right,
It was
right.
great.
You
brought it.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
You brought it. Very
And lastly, what I want to say, I'll speed it up. But a lot of those times I didn't want to do interviews because I was dealing with a lot of stuff and I didn't want to say the wrong things,
Right.
or make myself in the organization look bad because the player, we represent the organization, and I'd be the first one to apologize,
No, there's
from
nothing to
those
apologize for.
those times,
Yeah.
because like I said, I look back and there was times where I was there. I showed a lot of immaturity, but I've matured over the years, and having kids too helped me mature a lot, So my kids were blessings and stuff, and
Yep.
again, thanks for having me on the show.
Man, this
Yeah.
has been legit,
Thanks
man.
for-
Seriously.
thanks for-
Yeah, Eddie, this was, like I said, I have to apologize because I didn't, growing up, talk about
Yeah.
growing up. I mean,
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, hey, he's an asshole, because
Right.
I mean that's not who you are. But
Right.
there were times I had that like,
Right.
ugh. But sitting here talking to you tonight, I just want to say to your face, thank you for who you are. You're a great human being who's doing great things with the kids, and that's all that matters now. It's what's here and forward.
Right.
And thank you for that. I
Right. I
really
appreciate that.
For
Yeah,
sharing with
So-
us, man.
I
Your
appreciate
time and your, everything, your passion that you're doing with it now, man.
And we're
Excited.
small, but
Yeah.
if anything we can do for you, we'd
Nah,
love
thank
to
you.
help
Anytime,
out. You know,
man.
That's-
No, I
Anytime.
think you guys got a good thing going, and I'm like I said, I'm excited to see what the future holds for
Good.
this. Hopefully you can get some more, present national team players.
I
and
love
former
that, yeah.
national team players.
Send them our way.
Yeah, we might tag you on
on
a
the
we
show.
might tag you
on
on
the
a tweet.
show.
Just
On the
keep it
show.
honest. Be like,
I'll
keep it
definitely
honest.
tweet. I'll definitely tweet about it.
Thank you.
On the way home. But
Thank you.
thank you again.
Anything
for,
we can do for you, let us know.
Sitting down and getting to hear me out. A lot of people throughout my career, didn't take the time like you guys are doing right now to get to talk to me, to really get to know me. They just judged me from a distance, and you know what? That's life sometimes. And as an athlete, you gotta know that and be aware of it. That not everyone's gonna like you, and you can't go out of your way to go out there to make sure everyone love you, because people are gonna always have their view of you.
That's
but
right.
this right here means the most to me, because this is real.
Yeah.
This is real. Sit down, up close in front. We can put it all on the line, and that's what it's about at the end of the day.
Agreed.
So thank you guys for taking the time to get to know me and
No
understand
question.
who I really am as a
Thanks,
person.
Eddie.
No question. Thank
Eddie,
you,
thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man.
No doubt.
Thank you so
That
much.
Intro, man.
Let's go.
I was-
Anytime.
I was winded for you, bro.
Hey, anytime, any event you need me,
I was like,
I'll come
holy
through,
cow.
man. I'll come through.
How
any
long can he
event.
hold his breath on the water, bro?
All right. All right, boys and girls. Thanks
All
again
right,
for
guys.
Sonarfeed. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, next
Have a good
week.
night, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Please excuse the mess. The sonar feed appears to